Hi everyone, nice to see you all. Welcome to our talk about why you don't have to mock Firebase when you can just test it using our Patrol framework. So what's it all about? You all use Firebase, right? We all use Firebase, we all love using Firebase. But the issue with some third-party services is that we have to mock it many times when we want to perform some tests, especially UI integrated testing. And we've seen many people mocking the Firebase services, for example, when they have to integrate with some native stuff because of some problems that are being approached with Flutter integration tests. So today we will be talking about how you can actually properly end-to-end test your app with Firebase services so that you don't have to mock anything. I'm Mateusz, and I'm head of mobile at LeanCode. And in Patrol, our product, I'm a technical product owner.
And I'm Julia. I'm head of QA at LeanCode, and I'm a business product owner of Patrol.
Yes, and you can find us at these X handles. So, why we developed Patrol? It's because we discovered some problems with integration tests. And there are a couple of them. The first is that you cannot interact with native UI in integration test world. The second is that the test code has to be pretty much verbose because you have to pretty much execute pump and settle every other line. And when you run integration tests on some CI/CD services, it can be quite unreliable. You can have some flakiness, or you can just not be able to integrate it with some custom native tooling. So today we'll be focusing on the first one because it's most important from this perspective of testing Firebase. So you cannot interact with native UI, and what it basically means, the simplest form of showing you is to show you this screen. You probably all approached it in your app. When you have a permission request dialog, your test will simply time out. You cannot pass through it, you cannot neither allow it or deny it. But there are also more native stuff that you probably have in your apps, for example, web views, maybe with some authentication flow, maybe some real authentication flows with some third-party native SDKs, such as sign in with Google, sign in with Apple, sign in with Facebook. Also some payment SDKs like PayPal, Stripe, that are all native views, and you can't test end-to-end your business process because you can't pass in a real integration way through the native views. So my question to you is, who already uses Patrol? Okay, and who heard of Patrol? Okay, great. So for those who use Patrol, we have rewards for you on our LeanCode booth, so come to us later, but I will be talking about this in the end of my talk. So what's Patrol? Patrol is Flutter First UI testing framework. What it means, Flutter First, is that its purpose is for Flutter apps. And Flutter apps, from our perspective, is 90% of Flutter code and just a little bit of native stuff that you have to be able to go through. So it's written in Dart. We use Flutter test for Flutter features because it's the best API for integrating with widget tree. But still, you can interact with native UI. You are able to do that by leveraging native test frameworks such as UI Automator on Android and XUI tests on iOS. Also, we offer some smart defaults and intuitive API so that you have less boilerplate. And what it basically means, like I said, we talked with a lot of people from Flutter community, and they said that they have to write the same helper methods in every project, in every integration test. So we thought, hey, why can we just write them once for all for you inside the framework? And that's what we did. And last but not least, we want to be as compatible with native tooling as it's possible. And what it means is, in UI testing world, there's a lot of native tooling for Android and iOS. And it's really sad that you cannot use it with integration tests because they don't support it. So we try to be as native as possible so that you don't have to think about, does it tool support Flutter? No, if it supports Android and iOS, it will support my app. Let's take a quick look at the architecture. We have two packages. A Patrol plugin, which is a plugin, and it does all the native interaction stuff, integration with native frameworks. And it's basically a replacement for integration test. Then it uses Patrol Finders, which is a pure Dart package that just is a higher level API for Flutter test, so you don't have to write all this boilerplate. So let's go to the native automation. And as you can see in your test, you have patrol tester, which is $1, and you can use .native. And inside the native object, you have all the methods and stuff related to the native world. For example, you can prepare some network conditions, you can toggle some system theming, handle permissions, open drawer with notifications, and it's all written in Dart. So let's go through the features quickly. The first one is permissions. As you can see, you have some convenience methods, grant permission when in use, grant permission only once, and stuff like that, deny permission. Also with notifications, you can go with press home and open notifications so that it opens the drawer on both systems. And you can use tap on notification by selector. And for example, here we find a notification that contains someone liked text. And basically you can test everything because native automation frameworks allow us to do so. So here we use Patrol to open the Google Contacts app and create some contact in there. But still remember, moderation is a virtue. It's against pretty much all the testing rules to test other apps because it's flaky, and this Google Contacts app can be in the different version with different UI on different device and so on. But still, there are some cases when you have to, so we want you to be enabled to do so. The next package is Patrol Finders. Every Patrol Finder extends Flutter Finder. So anywhere you would use a Flutter Finder, you can also use Patrol Finder. And they're just more concise to be written. And I got a question for you. Who knows why we chose the $sign? Yes, jQuery inspiration. Back in the days, good old jQuery offered a pretty concise syntax, so we thought, why shouldn't we pay some tribute to them? And also, it does all the pump and settle and visibility-aware stuff. As you can see, you can just await tap. And they're just translating to Flutter Finders. As you can see, you can provide a type, you can provide a string, you can provide a symbol in Dart, and we will make a key from that. You can provide an icon data, or you can provide a regular expression. Also, if you want to use some complex finders like a descendant, you can just use $, and you will find a subscribe text inside the list view. And if you would like to use an ancestor, you can find a list style containing activated text, and it will return the list style because you want to find the list style. And then in this list style, you will find learn more key. And remember that default tooling is still available because we want you to have an escape hatch. Because if you want to just use widget tester, you are still okay with that. You have a tester object on Patrol tester, and you can just go back to the integration test world. But how is it all related to Firebase, right? Because we just showed you our product. Yeah, the issue is that maybe the story behind it is that on FlutterCon Berlin, while we were waiting in the queue for the coffee, on our LeanCode booth, we met guys from the Flutterfire team, the Invertase, shout out to them. And we told them about the Patrol, and they said, oh, in Flutterfire, actually, we would like to be able to test sign-in with Google and Firebase notifications, and they are native, so we cannot do that in Flutter world. So can you do that? And we said, yeah, why not? So we tried to do that, and we will show you today how we test end-to-end Google sign-in, and we also opened a pull request in Flutterfire, so if it goes well, maybe we could test end-to-end Firebase services with Patrol in their official repository. So I know that you want just for us to show you the code, so let's try and show the code.
Okay. So the next part of our presentation is about the code itself, and it will be divided in 3 sections. So first, I'll show you what flow we want to automate. I'll show you quickly the app. Then I'll show you the code that stands behind it and will do all the things for us. And at the end, we'll try to run the test live. Okay, so first we start with the app. Here's a video of me clicking. It's not Patrol, it's me actually. So we have an app, a Flutter app that has sign in with Google button. We click on it, and after that we quit the Flutter app, and we are redirected to the Flutter services, to the Google Services app. And here we want to sign in on our Google account. So we type our email, we click on the next button, we do it the same for the password text field, And after that, we have another screen where we have to agree on some terms of service. Yeah, and we have the last screen here. It's asking for a device backup, and we turn it off just for fun and click on the accept button. After that, we are already logged in on our Google account, and also in app, we are logged on the same account. And this is the end of the test, but we want to clean up after ourselves. So we log out from the app and log out from the account on the device. It's in case we want to run the test multiple times on the same device, and we want to have the path exactly the same every time. Okay, so now let's see the code. Okay, so what I'm showing you right now is a test file with a patrol test. It's pretty similar to the integration test, so you may know some of the syntax. And what interests us the most is this callback right here. And the first thing we need to do is add a teardown, and I will come back to this later. And the next real thing that we want to do is run the app. It's actually the same as in integration tests, so we have to initialize everything that we need for our app to work, and then we pump the apps widget. And the real test starts here, so the first thing we needed to do was to tap on the button, and we do it like this. I use the key here, so the button that I want to click on has a key that has sign in with Google string in it, so I use the symbol syntax to find it. And then on this finder, I call the tap method, so it just taps. And after that, we quit the Flutter part. Actually, this is the only thing that we do in our Flutter app, and the rest of the code is native calls. And they look a bit different. So, for example, the first one is enter text in the email text field. And we do this by the enter text method. All of the methods, all of the native methods in Patrol are contained in this $.native object. So we call it from there, and we have two arguments here. First, we need a selector. It's like a native equivalent of a finder, and we just tell how to find this element on the screen. And since we cannot just assign a key to a native element, it's not our code, so we use what the platform gives us. And on Android, we have something like resource IDs, and it's like identifiers of the elements that are on the screen. And we just pass it as a string here. You may wonder how I know which element has which resource ID. So I used a DB tool to dump the native hierarchy to the XML file. And this file looks like this. Maybe it's not really readable, but you can find that some of the nodes is like an element on the screen, and some of them has resource IDs. So I had to figure out just by trying which one is which. And not all of them have it, but most of the interactive ones has. So I just copied the string to my test, and that's how Patrol can identify those elements. Yeah, so this was a selector in the enter text, and also we have to provide the text that we want to enter to this field, so we just pass it as a string. Next call is a tap on the button, so it's pretty similar. We also have a selector for it that also uses the resource ID property here. And after that, we type our password into the password text field. We tap on a button that's on this screen, and it's next button. Then we tap on another button that accepts terms of service. Then we tap on the device backup switch. And the fun part is also here, so the swiping. And actually the accept button that we want to click now is not visible and we have to swipe the screen to make it visible. And here's a helper method that I created that does it for me. And it looks like this. So it's just checking if this element is on the screen and swiping if not in a while loop. So from our framework, we have the method swipe that swipes native screen for us. So it's based on coordinates, and here we are not in the Flutter world, so it looks like this. It's a bit different than the scroll method in Flutter. And back to the test. So we are swiping until we find this accept button, and when we found it, we just tap on it, as you can see here. And after this step, we are already logged in, so we come back to our Flutter app, and as every test should, we have an assertion here. And our assertion is that after we logged in, you may remember that there were a text in the center of the screen that presented our username. And yeah, we have to wait until it's visible, because after we come back from the app, from the native app, we have to pump the frames for a while to make all the things visible. So we just wait until this username text is visible on the screen, and then we expect that this text widget's property text is the same as we expect. So it's welcome somebody, right? And this is the end of the actual test. And now we have to do the cleanup part. And the first step of the cleanup is signing out in our app. So again, I use tab method and a key that this button has. But then there is a bit more trickier part, and it's the native logout from the device. And after the test is done, we call also a teardown. And I added the teardown here on the start. So it doesn't matter if the test fails at some point or it succeeds, the teardown will be executed anyway after the test. So I have guaranteed that even if I logged in onto the account, but for example, assertion didn't pass, so my test fails, this code in the teardown is executed anyway. And I want to show you this code as well. So it's here. And what we have to do here is open the settings app, the native settings app on Android, swipe until we see passwords and accounts tile, and then we just click on it, click on our email to see another screen where we can remove our account from the device, clicking twice on a button with text remove account. And this is it. After that, we did the test, we cleaned up after ourselves. And now let's see how this test performs. Yeah, that's the command to run the test. Yeah, it will execute on the emulator here. And in the meantime,
cool. Yeah, in the meantime, I think that we can show also the emulator. In the meantime, you can help us. And by helping us, I mean, you can give us a star, you can scan this QR code, and it will redirect you to our GitHub site, and you can just give us a star. It's helping us. The more users we got, the more feedback we got, so we know what are your needs, how we can change the patrol for your needs, how we can make it even better, so that it's your best tool in your toolkit for testing, especially end-to-end, real end-to-end things. So as you can see, the test is performing. Now it's doing some cleanup, I guess. It's going to passwords and accounts, and we are logged out. Yeah, cool. So thank you very much. And to wrap up, You can give us a star. You can. I know that you can contribute, but I know that not everyone wants to contribute, but it would be really helpful to see you as a contributor. But still, what you can do is you can come to our booth, LeanCode booth at Partners Area, because we have a Patrol challenge for you. For those who doesn't know, for those who don't know Patrol, for those who use Patrol, it's still a nice challenge. We have rewards for the challenge. You can learn Patrol, you can see it in action, and for those who use Patrol already, please come to us and share your story, because we want to know how you use Patrol and what problems, what native interaction you use, what problems you solve with Patrol, because then we have more feedback, we know when Patrol is really needed and how it helps people. And we also have rewards for you to redeem, so please come to our booth. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?